Today we are going to discuss about different types of filters and how do we use filter applications in Tableau and how to create top end and bottom end filters and what is the order of filter operations. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss today. So these are the different types of filters that are available in Tableau. So which is data source filters, extract filters, context filters, and dimension filters, measure, quick, dependent quick filters, filter actions, and table calculation. So there are separate sessions for this table calculation filters, and for LOD calculation filters, we have separate sessions. So in this session, we are going to see some of these filters, data source filters, extract filters, and context filters. So now let me just show you this Tableau. So I'm connecting to the sample superstore data source. So here I will just, yeah. So to your left side, you can see the list of data sources that you can connect to. So if you want to connect to servers, you can see these many list of servers that you can connect to. And these are the data sources. So these are the saved data sources, sample data sources that are provided by Tableau. So let's connect to sample superstore. So edit this data source. So here we will be able to see one filter. So this is called as data source filter. So before getting inside the dashboard, so we will be able to see one filter and we will be able to see all the columns that are there in the database. So these are the list of columns, dimensions and measures combined together. So we can see all the columns here and click on this. You can select, let's say if I'm filtering out uh, technology. So I don't want to see technology into my dashboard. So what I will do, I will not select technology and say okay. So you can see it keeps only furniture and office supplies. So when I go inside the dashboard and I say okay, and I go inside the dashboard and select category, so it will not allow the technology category into the dashboard. So I can avoid or I can restrict that particular category at the outside of the dashboard itself. So if you apply data source filter, it will not allow you into the dashboard. So that is one. So data source filter before entering into the dashboard, before entering into the worksheet or entering into the workbook. So not only one dimension, you can put multiple dimensions, multiple measures you can select. Let's say if I want only United States, so I'll just keep these filters. So these both filters will be applied and you can see the number of filters here. So I have selected two dimensions. So I will be able to see two filters. And so that is about data source filter. So you can restrict the data to not to enter into the workbook. And now let's see about extract data source filter. So for that, what we need to do is we need to extract the data. So while extracting the data, we will have the option to add the filters. So here we can add filters. So it will also show the same list of items. It will show you the same list of dimensions and measures which are there in the database. So here we can see all the list of columns that are coming from the data source. So here also, let's say if I am restricting any technology from here, so that will not be available in the extract. So when I create this, it will be created when I do an extract. So as we discussed earlier, whenever we try to create an extract, so it will be creating a hyper file, hyper extension file, which will store the data. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, so there are two types of extract modes which are available, where you can refresh or where you can extract all rows, or you can do a incremental refresh. So in extract, you will have all rows refresh and you will have incremental refresh. When I say all rows, so let's say currently I have some 100,000 rows. In new data source, I have some 1200 rows. Okay, so what Tableau will does is, so it will remove this entire 1000 rows and it will refresh. It will take new rows. It will take new 1200 rows. So it will refresh everything. So when you say all rows refresh, it will refresh everything. In case of incremental refresh, let's say currently we have 1000 rows, and in new data source we have 1200 rows, in which 200 are new records. Okay, so what Tableau will do is it will find out what are the new records based on the column, based on the date column, based on the date column or any dimension column. It will find out whether those records are new. So now instead of deleting the entire 1000 records and refreshing the 1200 records again, what it will do is 1000 records are already there. So it will just add which whichever the 200 rows which are missing, only add those records, which will become your 1200 records. So that is about incremental refresh. And so in data source filter, we were able to filter on the dimensions and measures. Here also we can specify those things. So let's see, here also we can add different dimensions. So let's select customer name. So I want to select only few customers that I want to be in the filter. So only 26 customer names are selected out of 800 members. So if I create an extract, so a hyper file will be created with 26 customers and two categories. So yeah, you can see one technology category has been removed from the category list. Why? Because in this list, it will be there. The data will be available only for two categories and 26 customers. So let me show you the number of customers. Okay, so here it is showing you only 26 customers. So if you can take the count as well. Okay, so we can see 26 customers only. Why? Because we have already filtered using this extract data source filter. So these two filters are basically extract data source filter and data source filter will be applied to the entire workbook. To the entire workbook. When I say entire workbook, so if I go into any other worksheet or any dashboard, so I take into any other worksheet. So if I drag a customer name, I will be able to see only 26 customers anywhere in this dashboard. So this workbook is filtered based on this data source filters. So if I filter it in these two filters, so it will be applicable for the entire workbook. Okay, now let's remove these filters. So edit. So let's remove this. Okay, so now I'm able to see 800 customers. Basically, so by default, the data has 800 customers and categories are three categories. So if I'm restricting at data source and extract data source level, so it will not allow to enter the data into the workbook. So we can restrict outside itself. In the data source level itself, we can restrict the data. So that is about extract data source and data source filters. So now let's talk about context filter and some other dimension filters. So first of all, let's talk about dimension filters. So this is normal data that I'm showcasing, the sum of sales for each and every customer. So if you observe in the data, so this is the data that we have, which has 10,000 records, and these are the records and the purchases that are made by the each and every customer. So let me sort it. So if you see, Aaron Bergman has made purchase of these many products. So these are the products, those are purchased by Aaron Bergman. And what is the sales amount of that particular person? So he made a sales of these many. So the purchase amount for those products is the value shown here, and the sum of total is being shown here. So $86 is the sum of sales which is made by purchasing the products. So now let's use customer name as a filter and let's discuss about these options that are available. So we can manually select. So there are 800 customers. In that, let's say I want to select only specific customers. Let's say Aaron Bergman I want to select, and somewhere in the middle I want to select this. So you might get requirements to see some specific names. So if you get some specific names as a requirement, you can select manually like this and say okay. So you will be able to see only those customers that you have selected. And so there are many options. Let's say you just want to exclude these persons. So just click on this. Only the selected persons will be excluded from the data. Say apply. So 790. So out of 800, I have excluded 10 customers. Or you can select all and uncheck this. So you can do other way around as well. So you can unselect those things. So this is a manual selection where you can select manually, and you can specify use all, or you can enter the custom value list as well. Let's say, so in custom value list, 800 members will be there. If you can remove manually, only those persons will be shown in the data. Okay, so like this, I have selected only 784 customers. So only those customers can be shown. So these are all manual selections that you can do. Or you just want to use all. So you can select use all. So 800 customers will be visible. So that is in general mode. So in general mode, we can just select manually. Now let's see wildcard. So in wildcard, we can specify contains, starts with, ends with, and exactly matches. So we have seen in our previous calculations, we have discussed about contains function, starts with function, and ends with function, and exactly matches. So now let's see. Now I want to see whichever contains, let's say, RN, say apply. So now it is showing me the customer names whose names contains RN. So Alan Burns, Annie Japan, Brian. So all these names has RN, or let's say apply. So there are only few names which contains PER. So like that, if you want to use, and you can show this filter. So when some user want to check specific names, and it is like a search box that we use in most of the servers or most of the browsers. So let's say I want to see which contains ln or which contains l. Okay, so in all these names I have l or which contains an, and whichever starts with. So we can also use starts with. I want to see the names which are starting with Z, say apply. So these are the two names, two customer names which starts with Z. And I want to see ends with W, say apply. So there is only one name. And you can use it as a, so you can give access to the user also. So let's say D. Okay, so it ends with D. So these are all the names which ends with D. So these are the different types of filters that are available. And when you say exactly matches, it has to be exactly same name. So Alan Ormold, say apply. Okay, it has to match exactly. So these are the options that are there. And now let's talk about condition. So condition wise, I can choose sum of sales greater than. I want to see only customer names whose sum of sales is greater than 50,000. So there are no customers who has $15,000. So let's say 5,000. Okay, so these are the customers. Let's put 10,000. Okay, so these are the customers who has more than $10,000 of sales. So you can specify condition as well. So here you can specify condition as well. And let's say 15,000, say apply. So here you will be able to see who are the customers who are having more than $15,000 of sales. And you can also see what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value for sales. So not only sales, so you can see or you can select any dimension or any measure. So based on that, we can write the filter out the data. And we can also mention, we can manually write the calculation as well. Sum of sales greater than 10,000. Say apply. So you can also manually write this calculations. Instead of selecting the fields, you can just directly write the calculations. Or you can customer name equal to Adrian Burton. Say apply. Okay, so here like that also you can specify whichever customer name that you want. So this here you need to write formula manually. So in general and wildcard you can select directly. So check for Adrian Burton. You can directly select that. Or you can if you want to write a calculation, you can go here and you can specifically write that particular calculation. Or you can use by field as well. So that is about how to put the condition. So now let's talk about top. So top is nothing but I want to show by field. I want to show specific number of top values. So in the previous condition, so I have specified I want to show the number of customers who has more than $15,000 of sales. So that might be 3 customers or 4 customers or 5 customers, depending on the number of customers who made that particular sales. But in top, what happens is I can see specific 10 number of customers. So I'm able to see only 10 customers based on the sum of sales. Specific 10 customers, if you count also, you'll be having only 10 customers. So specifically, I want to see only the top 10. So that is possible only by using this top. Or you want to see bottom values. Bottom meaning the values, the below values. So it starts from $5. So the bottom values. So these are the least customers who made very less sales. Yeah, yes, it is possible. By using sets, we can do that. So customer name, we have to take, let's take sales and sort it. So here now I want to see the top 10 and I also want to see the bottom 10. So by using filters, so if you take customer name, by using filters, you will be able to see only the top 10. But now I want to see this top 10 and bottom 10 together. So I need to create a set. So in set, yeah, in set also I will have the same options. So it will be the same options. I want to create a top 10 set. Say okay. And I want to create a bottom 10 set. So it is the same option similar to what we have in the filter. So I'm just taking it based on the sum of sales. And here I will select bottom. This will be, yeah, at a time you can see top or bottom in filters. Say by using sets, how we can do is, so we can combine these two sets. So top I have created one set. So if I use top 10 set, I will be able to see top 10. And if I use bottom 10 set, I will be able to see bottom 10. But my requirement is to show top and bottom together. So what I will do is I'll control select these two and right click on this and create a combined set. So this will become my top and bottom 10. So I'll use this in the filter shell. So now I can see top and bottom 10 together. Yeah. So these functionalities are same for any dimension. So if you see, control Z. Okay, so basically these functionalities are same for any dimension. So let's say if I take any customer name, so I have this general wildcard condition and top. And if you take any other dimension, let's say category, so it's same options. General will be there, wildcard, condition, top. Only these four options. Same usage. You can manually select, or you can do exclude, or you can use custom value list, or you can say use all. In wildcard, you'll have contain starts with. So for every dimension, it is the same process. Okay, so this is called normal filter. So basically, this is called as a traditional filter or a normal filter. Okay, and we can also show it to the user. So if we are showing it to the user, let's say I'm taking this subcategory and say all and right click on this and click on show filter. So this will be called as a quick filter. So that will be called as a quick filter. And why do we call that as a quick filter is, so we will be giving access to the user so that he can quickly change the any subcategory that he want to see. So user also can select whichever subcategory that he want to see. So here, if I put it in the rows shelf, so currently I have selected only 5 categories, subcategories. So if I select here, based on my selection, I will be able to see the subcategories. So this option will be given to the user. So how I can give it to the user is, so let's say if I'm dragging and dropping sheet 6, So use this is the dashboard. So he should be able to see it in the dashboard. Yeah, so he should be able to control the subcategories that he want to see. So he can specify he want to see only accessories like that. We can show that. Yeah, correct. So that he can view the quick filters. So now let's talk about the measure filters. So these are all dimension filters. Whatever we have discussed till now, so those are called as dimension filters. And why do we call it as dimension filters? We have used dimensions in the filter shelf. So the customer name, the region, state, province, city, all these are dimensions. So if you are using dimensions in the filter shelf, those are called as dimension filters. Now let's use measure filters. So let's take the customer name and sales only. So now let's take sales into the filter shelf. Here we will have options by using all values you want to do the filter, or you want to do based on the sum or average or median. Mostly we will do based on the sum. Why? Because we have taken the sum of sales, not the average, or we are not doing any median. So whichever function that you are using, which on based on what type of aggregation that you are doing, you should use that type of aggregation as a filter. So as I am doing sum of sales, I should use sum only. So let's talk about all values and then go back to the sum. Okay, so here I want to I can specify uh, up to which range I want to see the customer names. So the minimum value which it has is 0.44, and the maximum value it has is 22,638. So I can specify I want to see only the values between 10,000 and 15,000. Say apply. So as I have mentioned, I want to see the customers who are in the range of 10,000 to 15,000. Or I can just, yeah, I can select a range of values. So I can see the customers who are in the range of 5,000 to 15,000. So this I can give access to the user also. So when I say show filter, so user also can control. So they can also enter. So let's say 1,000 to 2,000. So this is like a show filter or quick filter only. So user can access. And we have an option of at least, where you can specify the minimum value only from where it has to start. So let's say I want to see only the values more than 13,000. So that I can specify. More than 19,575, there is only one customer. Yeah, maximum value will be fixed. And at most is nothing but minimum value will be fixed. You can modify. Yeah. I want to see only starting from 0 to 6,335. I can see that. Yeah. And say special values. So when you want to hide some null values, so there are no null values in the data. So when you say apply, you won't see anything. And when you say non-null values, it will see the data as we have the data. All values is nothing but combination of null and non-null values. Yes. Now let's talk about sum. So in sum also you should be able to see the same range. So it is basically the customers, based on the customer name, sum of sales. You can specify, let's just, it's the same option. So you can specify the range of values. I want to see 10,000 to 12,500. Say apply. So you can see the customers who are in the range of 10,000 to 12,500. So at least is nothing but maximum value you cannot enter. That will be freezed, and you can enter the minimum value starting from 5,000. I want to see the customers. Okay, so I can see that. Let's say if I want to show only till 20,000, because there is only one customer who is having more than $20,000. And here the minimum value will be freezed and I can modify the maximum value. I want to see only values till 5,000. Okay, so these are the number of customers who has only uh, 0 to $5,000 of sales. And special is nothing but null and non-null values. So if you want to show only null values, you can click on this, or you want to exclude non-null values, or you want to exclude null values, you can select non-null values. All values is a combination of null and non-null. Okay, so this will be same for all the measure filters. So we will be having dimension filters and measure filters. So the type is same for any measure. So if you take profit also, so you will be having similar type of information. So let's take some. So the range of values, at least, at most. For profit, it is starting from minus 6,626. For sales, it has started from $0. But for profit, it is starting from negative side also. So it has negative values also in the data. So here also you can do the range of values. And at least at least is a function where you can freeze the maximum value, at most which will freeze the minimum value, and special to remove the null values from the data. So that is why we use the uh, measure filters and dimension filters. Any questions before we proceed to the next topic? Zaid, Srikant, and Tabasum. Okay, yeah. So let's move on to the next topic. So let's discuss about context filters. Okay, so let's take an example of region, and I want to take state. So I want to see the sales. So for each and every state, I'm able to see the sales. So in central, my total value is 5 lakh 3,171, and that 5 lakh 3,171 is splitting across all the states. Okay, so now I want to see only the top 5. So let's select. So what I have to do to select top 5? Zaid, can you tell me the steps to show the top 5 states? Yeah, so we need to go to top and select by field. So I want to see top 5 based on sum of sales. Okay, so sum of sales is already been selected here. If it is not selected, you need to go here and manually select that. And aggregation also, I just want to do sum as an aggregation. So most of the time we use sum as an aggregation. So let's say okay. Okay, so when I have done that, so I'm able to see the the top 5 states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is normal dimension filter that I have applied. So now I'll apply one more dimension filter, which is region. Say OK and show filter. Okay, so Srikanth, can you tell me what if I remove this west region? How many states I can see in the data? Okay, Zaid, can you tell me? Yeah, yeah, 3, perfect. So if I unselect this west region, I should be able to see only 3 states. Okay, so Zaid, can you tell me what happens when I unselect central? How many states I can see? Yeah, so when I unselect central, Texas will be removed. But so this is normal dimension filter. And I'll just make a duplicate. So now we'll talk about context filter. Okay, so if you observe, actually we have applied top 5 filter. Okay, but when I unselect West region, I'm not able to see top 5. I'm able to see only top 3 states, but I should be able to see top 5 also. Okay, so even when I unselect West region, there will be some top 5 in this regions also, right? So if you see, so there will be some other states also which should be considered as top 5. So for that, what we need to do is we just need to make this as add to context. Okay. So in central, east, south, whatever the top 5 is available, so those will be shown here. Okay. So that is the importance of context filter. Nothing specific to the region and all. I'm just showing you the example, so you can use for any other dimensions as well. Yeah, correct. Okay, so here I want to see the top 5 based on each and every region. So I should be able to do that only because of context filter. So what context filter is doing is, context filter is basically an independent filter. So it is not dependent on any other filter, and it will create a temporary table. So here now I have selected only these 3 regions, central, east and south regions. So it is creating a temporary table only for central, east and south. So it is just creating a temporary table. And whatever other dimension filters that I'm applying, so that will check only this data. So it will not check the entire data. So what is entire data? Entire data has central, east, south, and west. So this is our entire data. So once a context filter is created, other filters will not check the entire data. Instead, it will check the whatever filters that we have applied in the context filter. So in context filter, I have selected only these 3 regions. So now the other dimension filter, which is top 5 states, will be applied on this temporary table. So now Tableau will try to find out top 5 in this central, east, and south. So that is why I'm able to see 5 states. In normal dimension filter, what happened? I'm just trying to, so it is applying both the filters together. So normal dimension filters are dependent on each other. So that is why. So here I'm showing straight top 5. Later I'm applying the region filter. And when I unselect West region, I am able to see only the 3 regions. So why it is showing like that? So both the filters are combined together. That's why I'm able to see only 3 states. But actual requirement is to show the top 5. So top 5 only in these 3 regions. Thus that will be possible only when you convert region into a context filter. So this context filter is very important filter. It plays a vital role and it improves the performance. And I will tell you why it will improve the performance. So as I have mentioned, it will create a temporary table and whatever filters that you apply after the context filters. So instead of checking the entire data, it will only check the filters which are already applied by using this context filter. So it will not check for the entire data. So that way it will reduce the records that were read by the other dimensions. So now the state will not check for other all the regions. It will only check the 3 regions. So that is how it will improve the performance. So any questions on context filter? So this is very important topic. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Zaid, Srikant, and Tabassum, any questions? Mhm. Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So if you come across the whole session from the starting, then you might not understand. So it is like somewhere in the middle you are starting, right? So it might be new to you. Okay, so basically the context filter is to apply the filters on top of others. And when you observe, so when I make this region as a context filter, it went to the top. So in order of operations, this will be performed first and other dimensions will be performed later. So that is about context filters. And so let me just show you in the PPT. So we have discussed about data source filter and extract filters. So data source filter and extract filters are mainly to restrict the data to in the entire workbook. So the filters that we have created, so the dimension filters. So if you observe, let's say the customer name and sales. And if I'm using customer name filter in this filter shelf, and let's say I'm selecting only some 10 customers and say okay. So this will be restricted only to the sheet 10 level. If I go to sheet 11, I need to put some other filters, or here I want to select some other 20 customers. So this is not to the entire workbook. So the dimension filters that I'm applying here, so this is not for the entire workbook. Here I can select some other different customer names. So in sheet 10, there is different customer names. In sheet 11, I have different customers. But only in data source and extract data source filters. So whatever I'm filtering it over here, so that will be applied to the entire workbook. So when I say entire workbook, so let's say if I'm adding it over here, and let's say category, I'm selecting only these two. So in the entire workbook, you will be able to see only two categories. So as I'm just adding that filter. Now I go into here and say add category. So in the entire workbook, whenever you create any new worksheet, so you will be able to see only two categories. Why? Because here I have added that filter. So it's same case for extract data source filter also. So if you are applying any filter, so that will be applied to the entire workbook. But in sheet level, in the filter shelf, if you are applying, so that will be applied only related to that particular worksheet. And here we can specify and apply to worksheets. So you can select the same filter if you want to apply to some other worksheets. You can select, and these are the worksheets that I have created. So sheet 1, sheet 3, top 10, sheet 11, sheet 12. So these are all the dashboards that I have created. So if I want to apply to all worksheets, I can select here. So that will be applied to the all worksheets. Or if I want to select any specific worksheet that I want to apply, so I can select that. So the same filter will be applied across all the worksheets. So that is one option. And all using this data source. So this is the only data source that I'm using in the dashboard. So when I say all using this data source, so let's put category filter, say office supplies, say okay. And I want to apply this category filter across all the worksheets. So when you say all using this data source, meaning it will be applied to all the worksheets. So click on this. So if you go into any worksheet, so you can see that filter is getting applied. The category I have selected office supplies. So let's say if I'm changing it from office supplies to technology and go to any worksheet, you can see technology is getting selected. So if we change it here, so it will be changed in the all the worksheets. And we also have one more option, all using related data source, so that this might be have you can use that in the while using data blending option. So there you can use related data source. So I will show you that when we are using data blending option. Okay, so that is about data source and extract filters. Okay, so we have also discussed about how to create top N filter. So let me just show you again. So customer name and sales. Okay, so I'm able to see the top five. I'm able to see all the customers with the sum of sales. So basically with the customer name as a dimension filter. So at a time I will be able to see only one at a time, top 10, or I can see bottom 10. By using normal dimension filter, you will be able to see only top 10 or bottom 10. And by using top 10, by using sets, we can create top 10 bottom together. So top 10 set I have created where it will have the 10 customers who has top 10 sales, and bottom 10 set, it will have only the bottom customers. So top and bottom set is what is we have combined. So we have combined by control selecting bottom and top 10 sets. So it will have all members in both sets. Okay, so if I use this in the filter shelf, now I should be able to see the top and bottom 10. And I can also control this top 10. So how many number of customers that I want to see. So I can also specify that. So edit set. So instead of this static value, I can make this dynamic by using a parameters. So create a new parameter and select value. So I can enter the values starting from 1 to 100. Say okay. So I'm just adding that instead of 10 value, I'm using that parameter. Say okay and go to top 10 set. Do the same thing. Edit this set. Instead of this static value, select value parameter. Okay, so now let's use this parameter that we have created. Show parameter and click on this drop down and select type in. So you can mention top 5. So when you mention 5, you can see top and bottom 5. And when you mention, let's say top 2, so you can see top 2 and bottom 2 together. So I'm just passing the number to the to the set so that I can see the number of values that I want to see. So if I enter top 6, so I should be able to see top 6 and bottom 6. So that is how we can see top n and bottom n. So context filter we have discussed, which is an independent filter and which will improve the performance by creating a temporary table. If you apply any other filters, those filters will be applied on top of this context filters. And dimension filters are basically it's like a where clause in SQL, and measure filters are like having clause. So you can see the range of values in between. And user filters is nothing but a quick filter. So let's say, yeah, so this is what is quick filter, where user also can access, where user can interact with the filters. So basically the dimension filters or measure filters, these are called as dependent quick filters. So every dimension filter or measure filter are dependent on each other. So if you see only the context filter is an independent filter, so it will not dependent on any other filter. And yeah, so there are two other topics which we have: filter actions and table calculation filters. So for every filter action and table calculation, we have separate session for each and every topic. So we'll discuss in the upcoming sessions. So any questions till here, till dependent quick filters? Okay, cool. Then with that, this today's session is completed. So we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Yeah, no problem. Next Saturday. Yeah. Yeah, that's better actually. If you want, you can join these sessions also, no problem. If you are free, you can join these sessions as well. 30 sessions, 30 days. Yeah. That is provided by Tableau only. So it's a sample data only. It's a dummy basically. Yeah. Bye. Bye. Good night.